The hunters are the most dangerous faction in the division. They need to be stronger, smarter, and more efficient at killing than anyone else. They were designed to take out the best of the best after all. It's not enough to just give someone a build they don't understand and expect results. Lucky for you, I'm going to show you how to build like a hunter. I always see builds like this from new players. Note, I have an assault rifle, but no brand set that complements AR damage. I have one piece of Hunter's Fury, which not only is an SMG shotgun piece, but it's one piece, and gear sets need 2 pieces minimum to do anything. I've also got a Wyvern skill piece, but I'm not designing a skill build. Lastly, I have a spotter chest piece, but no link laser and no pulse, so I'm not proccing the talents. This build is rubbish. This build came from some moron thinking he was eating a bit in the dark zone. But that aside, let's take a real look at the build. You have a backpack for LMG damage, but no LMG. You have Gilligard gloves for 5% additional armor on a low armor build, and you have an SMG secondary, which isn't going to do much damage. As you can see, the results speak for themselves. By actually paying attention to the brand sets and what's going to complement my build, I now have more armor, more damage, more crit chance. Everything is better about this build. The trend in the PvP community at the moment is adding the named Badger Tough 0F's chest piece to AR builds over an AR chest piece with the Unbreakable talent. This piece gives you 5% additional armor on Perfect Unbreakable, but that equates to about 2 or 3 bullets of damage while you sacrifice substantial damage output. Sure, you can change another piece to Fenris, but you'll lose the multiplicative damage on this build. Read the brand sets, know your brand, and know what you're building. Another thing I see a lot of people doing is putting talents on guns or armor and not actually proccing it. As you can see, I've got Flatline, amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies, but I don't have a link laser pointer and I don't have a pulse. Take note of those damage numbers. Now we'll put a link laser pointer on as per the technician specialisation, and we'll also chuck on a scanner pulse. Now you don't have to have both, you can have one or the other. They're both going to do the exact same thing. But let's have a look at the damage difference now. As you can see, that's a 40k damage difference per bullet to the body and 50k to the head. By looking at the spotter or perfect spotter talents, I can add an additional 15 to 20% damage onto my build, as opposed to having Unbreakable, but it's up to you if you want more damage or more survivability. Let's have a look at another couple of talents. Sadist, deals 20% weapon damage to bleeding enemies. Then we've got a backpack talent, Wicked, applying a status effect, deals 18% weapon damage. These two talents go hand in hand, but without proccing any bleed. Look at the damage. Now let's chuck on a Ridgeway's Pride chest piece. Shooting enemies within 15 meters applies bleed. Bleed is also a status effect. Now let's have a look at the damage. That's an increase of nearly 150,000 per bullet. The maximum crit chance you can get on any build is 60%, but the game won't tell you if you've gone over that. Sure, these stats look good, but now that we know we're at 60, let's take a look at the build and see what we can change. Automatically, my damage has gone up, but my crit chance is still the same, which means we're well over. Let's change a few more things around. As you can see, by changing around a couple of weapon mods, some attributes, and even the brand sets, I've gone up in damage and I've gone up in crit damage. Sure, I've lost a little bit of chance, but I've also gained 8% damage to armor. That's multiplicative damage. We'll get into that later. Speccing into the right attributes on your build is also important. You don't want to go wasting a slot on something that's completely useless for your build. Take this for example. I've chucked on a Gilligard piece. Wow, 1.9 million armor, but I've only got 4000 regen. Let me show you what 4000 regen does.
Five minutes later.
Well, that sucked. If you're going to spec an armor regen, do it like a hunter. That's more like it. But just remember, there's a benefit and sacrifice to everything you do. By specking an armor regen, I've lost a lot of damage. Another thing I see a lot of new players doing is going under or over your brand requirements. Remember, no yellow brand set requires more than 3 pieces to max out, and some, like Walker and Harris, don't even need the third. 5% damage to health? Don't think so. Conversely, gear sets require at least 2 pieces on any build to activate the first gear set bonus. All of these of course change once you add the Ninja Bike backpack to the mix. If you've ever been to the Dark Zone, you may have heard the terms push on kit or popping team kits. These refer to your firewall and survivalist medkit specialization bonuses. The firewall medkit gives you 200% armor regen over 10 seconds. So essentially, if you push into a fight during those 10 seconds, you negate a lot of that damage, hence the term pushing on kit. Medkitting on the survivalist specialization means that when the player uses a medkit, all teammates within a certain radius will also heal for the same amount of armor as the player receives. This allows them to save their medkits, hence the term popping team kits. Another trend I'm seeing in the PvP community is people choosing crit chance and crit damage over multiplicative damage. Damage to armor and damage to target out of cover are multiplicative damages, and your damage is calculated by the formula weapon damage times multiplicative damage, or weapon damage times crit damage times multiplicative damage. Considering all players and most NPCs have armor, as you can see, multiplicative damage takes less time to kill than crit oriented builds. Because multiplicative damage is so powerful, the benefit far outweighs the cost, and it's one of those rare exceptions when you can afford to ignore the brand sets. Hopefully this has helped with simplifying the building process, especially for new players. At the end of the day, building is half the fun, and the more you know, the better the build you'll make. Soon enough, you'll be clapping bots in the Dark Zone too. Easy as that.